Welcome aboard Her Majesty's Australian ship Darwin, FFG 04, the mark of a nation whose vision is equal to its grasp. 3,600 tons of determination and steel, brought to life by your sons, husbands, and fathers. The HMAS Darwin is one of the most impressive naval vessels in the world today. Capable of speeds in excess of 28 knots, this carefully crafted ship stands at better than 14 meters across her beam. Her armament boasts missiles, torpedoes, a 76-millimeter rapid-firing multi-purpose gun, and a computer-assisted 6-barrel 20-millimeter gun that is capable of destroying enemy missiles launched against the ship. Built in America by Todd Pacific Shipyards in Seattle, Washington, the Darwin is one of the Oliver Hazard Perry class of guided missile frigates. The Darwin is the fourth such ship to be built for the Royal Australian Navy by Todd. 2 more ships of this class are scheduled for construction at Williamstown Dockyard in Australia. Equipped with technological advantages that far surpass older ships of her class, the Darwin is a tribute to the men who built her and the men who will serve on her. The Darwin is expected to play an integral role in the Royal Australian Navy. Her mission to patrol and protect Australia's sea lanes, lending support and cover to merchant and military convoys, while additionally contributing to effective and comprehensive naval task force operations. To accomplish this mission, the Darwin has been equipped with the very latest in military technology. And yet, without the right kind of crew, that technology is useless. Without men who are capable of responsibly meeting expectations and obligations, the Darwin would be little more than a paper battleship. Well, the Darwin has such men, and they stand among the finest in the Royal Australian Navy.
Air solution ballot, ready to fire. Gun firing. Target kill, FC1.
An assessment of the crew from the ship's captain, Commander R.J. Bailey.
Enthusiasm and energy which everybody has put in so far is absolutely outstanding. It's a long, slow learning process for everybody. We're dealing with new technology. We're dealing with United States Navy procedures as opposed to Australian Navy procedures. There's a lot of relearning to do, but everybody knows what the end point is, and everybody's working very hard towards that end point.
On most ships this size, you could reasonably expect to find a crew of more than 300, but the Darwin functions with a crew almost half that size. This is due to the state-of-the-art computer technology that is on board, an integrated computer system, along with the ship's innovative and functional design that allows for the concept referred to as minimum manning. It is a concept that demands more of a crew, not only in terms of duty, but in the manner in which that duty is performed. It means that everyone must work well together, as a team. In some respects, then, the crew of the Darwin relate to one another as being part of a large, extended family. There is camaraderie, and a sense of each individual being part of something larger.
Minimum manning has a multitudinous effect upon the ship. It was created because of the technological advances that were possible to incorporate into this ship, and it has essentially led to far fewer people being available to do the many communal duties and other functions which require large amounts of manpower. As a result, our organisation has to be a lot better, and we have to operate much more as a team.
Everybody has to work, all the way from our chiefs all the way down to our able seamen, which means that we all depend on each other, and it makes the crew a lot tighter, a lot more friendly.
To me, it means we've got to work a lot harder because there are less men on the ship for the things that we have to do. It is computerised. It has to operate effectively and safely with a minimum crew.
Because the minimum manning concept, everybody's a little bit less senior than they would be before. There's less bosses, if you like. And to rise to that challenge, you've got to be more outgoing, more willing to take up the little jobs and do everything yourself.
That is a familiar airport sound, a jet engine running. It is not a sound you would expect to hear coming from a Navy ship. Venture below deck on the Darwin and you will find the source of that sound, a pair of engines identical to those found on DC-10 jets. There are two General Electric gas turbine engines supplying the Darwin with power equal to that of 41,000 horses. These engines, along with the ship's generators, are among the many features of the Darwin that are computer-controlled and computer-monitored. Now, in other ships of this size and class, steam engines supply the power. Not only are gas turbine engines capable of greater power, they are also capable of being fired up from a cold start and having the ship underway, all in less than 10 minutes. That same task for steam-powered engines would take up to 8 hours or more. This is where those powerful engines are controlled and monitored. Virtually every aspect of control originates from this one area, and with fewer men required for the job because of the computers that assist in the operation.
New track, air hostile 8001, bearing 093, range 12,000 yards, closing surf. New track 8001, WCR.
One of the most fascinating aspects of any naval warship certainly has to be the ship's combat system. Well, the Darwin has an awesome array of weaponry, controlled and monitored from this one centrally located combat room.
Bridge ops. Hot to what? Track 8001, course 145, speed at 28.
This 76mm gun is capable of firing rounds at the rate of 85 every minute. The backup system is this 20mm multi-barrel gun, which fires a steady stream of 3,000 rounds a minute. The great advantage of this particular system is that it is completely autonomous, relying on its own computer and radar tracking systems. One system locates and tracks the target. The other makes any necessary corrections in the angle and direction of fire. So accurate and concentrated is that fire that incoming missiles or enemy aircraft are quickly eliminated. Also included among the Darwin's combat systems and armaments, digital sonar, radar, torpedoes, and guided missiles. Additionally, the Darwin will eventually be equipped with two light, sophisticated helicopters. They will be housed in hangars on the rear deck of the Darwin. Life aboard the Darwin is by no means luxurious, but it most assuredly is a cut above the Spartan existence found on naval ships of yesteryear. In fact, the design of this vessel provides for some of the most comfortable living accommodations that can be found aboard a warship. While not spacious, the living areas here are attractive. Divided into sections, each area has its own sleeping, dressing, and sanitary facilities. The bunks are comfortable, if cramped. During those hours when they are not on duty, the crew of the Darwin can relax in the lounge, playing cards, reading, or watching a movie on the closed-circuit television system. Still, not much is available in the way of leisure time, with much expected from the officers and men in terms of duty.
For most people, they will do a sort of 10 or 12-hour working day would be a norm. In an exercise or operational environment, the length of that working day will increase, and so you can see that there is no leisure time to really take care of.
When we're out at sea, we'll probably sleep or sit down reading. There's nothing too much you can do, because you're virtually working most of the time you're out at sea.
There's not that much to do. You know, after you've done your job and this type of stuff, you've got to entertain yourself. You know what I mean? Mainly all you do is, you watch the movies that are on, play chess, play cards, write letters home. Really, that's all it is. Just wait until you get back home.
It's a 24-hour-a-day job. We just work in cycles, that's all. And you get used to being in 2 watches, 3 watches, or 4 watches. I.e., in a 2-watch system, you're on watch for 6 hours, you're off for 6 hours. And when you're off in 6 hours, you've got to get fed, you've got to get showered, you've got to have some sleep, and you've got to do your laundry.
Meals aboard the Darwin are taken in a roomy and open dining compartment that is refreshingly cheerful. Food on board is given exceptionally high marks, the general opinion being that as good as naval food is, the food here on the Darwin is even better, with the enlisted men eating the same meals as the officers, those meals all prepared by the same cooks. There are no separate galleys. The Darwin also boasts a ship store that sells toiletries, tobacco, and candy. The ship's medical facilities are the most modern and best equipped, prepared for everything, including emergency surgery if necessary. Great care and effort has gone into the construction of the HMAS Darwin. The keel of the ship was laid on the 2nd of July, 1981. 28 months later, the Darwin was christened and launched by the wife of the Administrator of Australia's Northern Territory, Mrs. Joan Johnston. The name of the ship having been carefully selected on the basis of Australian naval tradition.
The main significance of that is that following the general procedure of naming major naval units after capital cities in Australia, Darwin was granted its independence, self-government, in 1978, and the order was placed for Darwin shortly after that. The government decided to recognise the territory's newfound status.
March on, the ship's company.
On 21 July 1984, the HMAS Darwin became a part of the Royal Australian Navy, standing as an accomplishment to the skills and workmanship of Todd Pacific Shipyards and as a standard of Australia's determination to guard and protect world peace. It was a day etched into the minds of those in attendance, a day of ceremony and dignity that was to touch upon a spirit of heritage and tradition.
March on, the guard.
The honored guests arrived amidst the pomp and circumstance of the hour. Among those in attendance, the Lord Mayor of Darwin, His Right Worshipful Mr. Alec Fong Lim.
Guard, General Salute, treason! Up!
the Australian ambassador to the United States, His Excellency Sir Robert Cotton. And the guest of honor, His Honor Commodore E.E. Johnston, Administrator of the Northern Territory, to whom fell the honor of inspecting the guard. As the commissioning ceremonies progressed, Commander R.J. Bailey extended a gracious welcome to all those assembled and spoke briefly to his hopes for the ship he was about to take command of.
I would hope that Darwin will reflect the colour, the history and the spirit of her name city and the Northern Territory, which is Australia's last frontier. Unspoiled, rugged, colourful, innovative, independent, hard-working and decidedly hard-playing. It is the antithesis of mediocrity. Descriptive adjectives abound, but perhaps the most outstanding characteristic of Darwin City, which applies equally in the military environment, is the one word which comprises the ship's motto: resurgent. The ship's crest also captures the connection between the ship and its name city. In Egyptian mythology, the phoenix symbolizes rebirth after the ordeal of fire. Natural and man-made desecration has caused Darwin City to rebuild, rejuvenated on several occasions. In Chinese mythology, the phoenix stands for peace and prosperity. Today, HMAS Darwin is being commissioned in support of those principles.
With the ship standing as a magnificent backdrop, the Lord Mayor of Darwin extended a warm invitation to the officers and men of Her Majesty's Australian ship Darwin, stating that he had requested the ship be permitted to make the city of Darwin its first port of call.
As many of you will know, Darwin is a rapidly growing, modern and cosmopolitan city with a great sense of community and civic pride. We have taken a few knocks over the years, such as the bombing in World War II and the devastation caused by Cyclone Tracy on Christmas Day 1974. But we have always bounced back bigger and better than ever. I am delighted to see that spirit expressed in your ship's crest and the very appropriate motto, resurgent. When your first visit to Darwin takes place, I can assure HMAS Darwin and her ship's company of the warmest possible welcome, including, of course, the granting of freedom of entry to the city. And this will be a historic occasion as well. The RAN has the freedom of the city, but there is no ship to have this honour. While we may lock up our daughters for the occasion, rest assured that we will open up our hearts.
The pageantry of the moment was further enhanced by remarks from His Honor Commodore Johnston, who offered his congratulations to Todd Pacific Shipyards for a job well done, and who extended his best wishes to the captain and crew of the Darwin.
This ship behind me, built in America, and today being commissioned into the Royal Australian Navy, is further tangible evidence of the ties which bind our nations, ties which bind, I hope, forever. To all connected with her design, construction and trial program to date, may I congratulate you on a job very well done indeed. To Commander Rick Bailey and the ship's company, may I, on behalf of Jane and myself, wish you the very best of luck as you commence HMAS Darwin's first commission. Be assured that both of us will follow your progress with the keenest of interest.
Ship's company, ho!
Commissioning order. 2, Commander Richard John Bailey, Royal Australian Navy. The Chief of Naval Staff has directed that Her Majesty's Australian ship Darwin is to commission at Seattle, USA on 21 July 1984. Accordingly, you are to proceed to commission her for service in the Royal Australian Navy and use the utmost dispatch in preparing the ship for sea. May God's blessing be upon the ship and company hereby entrusted to your command, and may your joint endeavours to uphold the highest traditions of the Royal Australian Navy in the service of Her Majesty the Queen meet with success and happiness.
Dear friends, when we call upon God in a spirit of sincere faith and trust, we may be sure he hears our prayers. Therefore, let us now pray to him for the success of the work this ship and its men are about to undertake.
The crew of Her Majesty's Australian ship Darwin, even though they had been living and working aboard for several weeks, were now to take their places on a deck that was officially theirs. As the official ceremonies were to end, the last remnants of commissioning procedures were concluded. Gifts were presented and exchanged, and generous offers heartily received.
Thank you very much, Commander Rick Bailey and crew, distinguished guests. Mr. Dunn has said he's going to buy the first cake. I'm going to buy the second 5.
And to cut the cake today will be my wife, Beverly, and the ship's, the youngest sailor in the ship, Seaman QMG Black, who is age 17.
For the officers and men of the Darwin, there is an unbridled feeling of excitement and adventure. They eagerly look forward to the opportunity of breathing life into this vessel, giving it identity and purpose. They go to sea with the knowledge that their ship is the best of its kind in the world. And while they do think of war, they think more often of the peace they are keeping.
And I view my job as an insurance policy, whereas you always pay for insurance policy, but you never ever want to become the recipient of the money. I view the Navy and all defence forces, and that's what we are, defence, not offence. And if we keep a prime deterrent, somebody can come and look at Australia and say, well, hey, we don't want to tangle with these guys. We've done our job. It's not our job to go to war. It's our job to protect peace.
Where lies the land to which the ships would go? Far, far ahead is all her seamen know. And where the land she travels from, away, far, far behind, is all that they can say.
Finally, I would like to pay a personal tribute to my ship's company and their families. I've been extremely well supported throughout this preparatory phase. Everybody's worked hard with seemingly boundless energy and enthusiasm to reach this point. Families have been involved to a greater extent than I've previously experienced. Today, we celebrate formally the family that is HMAS Darwin and the Royal Australian Navy. May we continue to work together and play together in the harmony that has prospered thus far. Thank you, one and all, for your support.